registration exercise, you must have a Nigerian birth certificate, you must have a Nigerian driver's license, and also the national identity number. These are the 3 requirements that have been given. But registration of voters is about citizenship. The Constitution says that the moment you are 18 and you have attained the age of 18 and you're ordinarily resident in Nigeria, that you are qualified to be registered as a voter. So no inferior law has the right and the capacity to impose additional qualifications for purposes of registration. And under the constitutional framework, you can be a dual citizen and you can register. Under the constitutional framework, how to become a citizen of Nigeria has already been set out. So it is the electoral management body that can.
Lokaci in mota ta kama gudu da ni tun safe har rana ta faɗi.
Please, it is only the electoral management body that can make a determination constitutionally on additional registration qualifications. I understand the challenge that led to some of these issues, and it relates to underage registration and other malicious registrations. But we cannot use those ones to dilute our citizenship, because a voter's registration is all about citizenship. The second issue relates to the issue of Section 77 of the Electoral Act. Section 77 makes it mandatory that every registered political party must maintain a digital membership register and also maintain a physical membership register, which shall contain the name, address, ward, polling unit, and so on and so forth of the registered voter. And not the registered voter, the registered member of the political party. It also says that every registered political party must submit this register to the electoral management body 21 days before it conducts its primaries, congress, or convention. And that only those whose names appear on this register can vote and be voted for in party primaries. And that any political party that fails to submit this membership register cannot field candidates in election. Now, that is where the problem is, and that's why some people are complaining. What Section 77 tries to do is to prevent seasonal migration. You contest party primaries in APC, you don't win, you migrate to Labour Party. You contest, if you don't win in Labour Party, you migrate to a different political party. So Section 77 is trying to put a stop to this seasonal migration, and that is why there's so much hue and cry over it. I think that a political party that wants to be a political party should be a political party based on ideology. If you are in a political party, you must remain in that political party and build it, and stop migrating from one political party to the other. The third issue I want to raise relates to the issue of primaries based on direct and indirect and consensus.
Okay, I think you will wrap up in 1 minute so that we can give the floor to other speakers.
Okay. No, let me just go to the issues relating to Section 60 of the Electoral Act, and that will be done. Now, Section 60 of the Electoral Act talks about what I call electronic transmission of results. Now, there are two issues in Section 60, subsection 3, and Section 60, subsection 5. In Section 60, subsection 3, the transmission of results goes to the IREF portal. And the Supreme Court has said that the IREF portal is only for public viewing and does not go to the collation portal. So my suggestion, my advice is that civil society groups and organizations should pay attention to Section 60, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act, which deals with transmission of results to the collation portal. And the Section 155 of the has defined transmission to mean either physical or electronic transmission. So I think that one poses a better option for civil society groups and organizations. So the Electoral Act 2026 represents both progress and regression, But I think that we can make use of the Electoral Act to advance our struggle for democracy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Barrister Festus Okoye. I think we've seen how you marshal out the issues very well, starting with this conversation. You've talked about the need for civil society to rise up because the existing political parties do not really have ideological positions to fight the current situation on hand. And also your emphasis on Section 10, Section 77, and Section 60, subsection 5. Civil society need to really look deep into Section 60, subsection 5, in terms of the results. I think you also mentioned 3 core issues why citizens might feel very, very uncomfortable in participating in an election because they think the election in 2027 is not going to be a serious one. Then 2, most likely that is also connected to the issue of their result not being counted. Then you also talk about whether democracy is not working for citizens, that people are having that mindset right now. So John Oda is already on the call. I want Comrade John Oda to take it from there. What should be our role as citizens to strengthen the democracy that we have to do, flowing with what Barrister Festus Okoye has put on the table? Thank you. Comrade John Oda. I saw him on the call now. Okay, Comrade NLB, do you want to bring your own perspective to this conversation, looking at what the role of CSO citizens should be in strengthening our democracy, of course, looking at democracy that delivers for citizens? Comrade NLB.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, my comrade president, for all you have enveloped us for and what you have been to us as well. I just want to say, my area is to look at the role of citizens in making democracy deliver dividends to the people. And I just put it down in Nigeria. And so as we look at this, we need to look at why is it that citizens' action matters. How does democracy deliver benefits when citizens participate? And that is to really center our thoughts on, or reflect on our thoughts, looking at how democracy can only deliver benefits when citizens participate, demand accountability, and collaborate with institutions. What are the key roles? What do you think we can do? What are the key roles of citizens? Remember that the office of citizen is the highest office of the land. One of the key areas, I want to just pull out a couple of points here. One is vote responsibly. That is participating in free, fair, transparent election to choose candidates based on policies and track record. When I'm talking, maybe you can look at whether the elections we have had, whether we have actually participated, you and I and others have participated fairly, and also those that we're bringing out, whether they have track records that you can see. So voting responsibly is one of the points I bring out. The second point is, how can we stay informed? How can you follow credible news? Understanding policies, current affairs, and also verifying information before you share in the world that we now are. The third point is to hold our leaders accountable. How can we monitor performance, demand transparency, and and accountability, calling out corrupt leaders through lawful channels? Many of us have been doing that, issuing press conferences, coming together and also putting our voice together And holding the town hall meeting that like we're having today, is also part of it. The next point is civic engagement. Where you are, can we see how we join community groups? Are you a part of your community? Many of us are coming from villages and towns and so on and so forth. But above everything, where you are even living, are you a part of any community group or town halls or policy consultations to influence policies? This is about civic engagement. Civic education is also very core. It's another core point where you can teach others about their rights, their duties, and how government works, especially when you look at the youth and also marginalized groups. You remember civic education yes, and history was removed from our curriculum some years ago. Because when we were growing up, they teach you how to love your country. Those civic rights, those are the things that makes you want to be patriotic, want you to be committed, but it's not being taught. And, for many years, we don't know who took these things out. And it's very important, it's like we are continuing our lives without asking questions. Who did we sin against that didn't want us to remember who we are? And another is, which we have also engaged in, is peaceful advocacy and protest. By organizing lawful actions, because that's a constitutional leverage for us, to press for reforms and also policy implications. The other point is service and community development. Do you lead or support any project, either from your work environment or from your voluntary environment? Because one of the things we used to do in those days for activism, you join organizations that can make you commit your time. And now you can even commit your money for those who have money. But if you cannot commit your time, you can commit your money through others as well. In citizenship, one of the things we do too is tax compliance and economic participation. Pay taxes, honestly, and support local enterprise to increase public revenue and also economic resilience. Many of us, especially some of us who work in the development in the world, the taxes that we pay, only God knows, I cannot even pull it, because they say if you want to remove the log in another person's eye, remove your own first. And so for us, it's like you have to make sure that your tax compliance as a patriotic Nigerian or as someone who is pushed by patriotism, you have to ensure that you organize yourself because you go by the rules. The other is, legal and institutional use, that is the using of the courts, ombudsman, human rights, commission, anti-corruption agencies, and also public petitions to seek redress and enforce laws. We are not doing enough, and I think we need to do more. What are the barriers that citizens must overcome? We need to look at the issues of misinformation and low civic literacy. Many people have abandoned because they are tired and frustrated. They have decided not to read newspapers anymore because there is news online. There is the hardcore newspapers, which some of us grew up with, because you go through a newspaper as if your life depends on it. Everything in the newspaper, you cover it. And then news and current affairs, you are there. You are finding people now who go either to the House of Representatives or national, any office in the National Assembly. They are not watching television. They have no idea about what is going on in terms of news. How do you operate like that? And so, issues of political intimidation and violence and weak institutions as well. The kind of impunity that we're having is not encouraging. And so we need to be able to overcome this environment by working together as a team, networking, and also finding a common purpose. I do know that we have economic restraints that limits participation. I want to therefore just go on to practical recommendations. We need to build civic education programs in the schools. I'm told they are returning it, or they have returned the civic education, but they have not brought in history yet. But we need to work with the local environment to understand that. We need to support independent media and fact-checking initiatives. We need to form or join watchdog groups to track local projects as well. We need to be able to use digital tools responsibly for advocacy and also transparency, in terms of budget tracking. And then you have the FOIs, which you can request information, government information. That's something that we have won. We need to collaborate with civil society organizations and reform-minded, officials in the government to push systemic reforms in terms of looking at the electoral environment, which is the INEC and the regs and the institutions that we find ourselves, the judiciary. There are still some people that are reform-minded, and then issues of procurement as well. When you look at that, therefore, you will try to push, because what we are facing right now is not only, when you are looking at our electoral reforms, is not only, don't just face INEC. The judiciary, the politicians have brutalized INEC. They have also brutalized the judiciary. How do we hold them back? How do we recall them? Because we can't give up on Nigeria. It's one of the greatest countries in the world. We cannot give up. And but how do we push the environment? You saw what just happened with the Electoral Act. We try to push, but look at people's talking with water in their mouth. Even when we know that you can transmit directly from from beavers, they are telling us no, but because they are gearing up. We need to mobilize. We need to mobilize the entire community, the entire citizens of Nigeria, to go and register, those who have not registered, to collect their cards and be ready for 2027. We need to operate within the limits of the law by showing the people all these, how do I describe them? I don't want to be, I don't want to insult and to be insulting, but right, to teach somebody who is arrogant and innocent, or whatever they find themselves, to be able to stay with them, is to show that you can keep with the law and you can hold them accountable. For citizens, we need general mobilization throughout the country. We need to, the international development agencies and all the partners that are working across the 36 states, plus the FCT, we need to work with them, come together and ensure that we hold government accountable and having a transparent election, having a transparent and fair, free election in 2027, no matter how they are ganging up. They're ganging already. The only way we can go across is unity from the Nigerian populace. I want to look at, to conclude that we can have, when citizens act, we have improved accountability, reduced corruption. We would also have better public services and infrastructure in terms of delivery, which will be more responsive and inclusive policy making, stronger rule of law, and trust institutions as well, with tangible socioeconomic gains for communities. The way that you have seen the increase in electricity, I think we should be calling an emergency meeting on what has happened in the last 4 days. Every day you buy, fuel with a new price. Democracy, I want to conclude by saying that democracy dividends in Nigeria depends less on rhetoric and more on sustained, informed, and collective citizen action. Individual participation can multiply across communities to transform governance into real development. I want to say thanks to each and every one of you for the way you have acted in the last couple of months for Nigeria. Well done. Well done to ActionAid, well done to Motion, and well done to Civil Society Situation Room. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Ene Obi. You just took us through the role that civil society should be playing in Nigeria in terms of strengthening our democracy. You mentioned citizen participation, holding government accountable, equipping ourselves with the right knowledge, civic engagement, civic education, peaceful civil actions. You also mentioned community engagement. Also, you went further to also tell us some of the challenges that we are seeing right now: intimidation, misinformation, and weak institution. And of course, you ended by giving us some recommendations that we can follow to be able to address some of the challenges. Thank you very much, Comrade Eneobi, for that insightful presentation. So let's quickly hear from, I don't know whether Comrade Oda is on call now. If he's in the call, then we can just allow him also take us through the process of what is the role, what are the roles of civil society organizations in strengthening our democracy. Comrade Oda. I saw him now. I don't know. Is he finding it difficult to join also?
He is technologically challenged.
Okay, okay. Peter, is Peter on call? Is Peter on this call? Peter. Okay, while we wait for Peter and John Oda, I also want to open the floor for 15 minutes and let's hear from our audience, people who want to ask questions and make some clarification. And the two speakers are here to also provide the clarity that we need and also provide answers to some of the questions. So the floor is open. Just signify by raising up your hand, then I will recognize you.
So Newton, you have three people's hands up. In the order of which you raise your hand, you have Elizabeth, Dr. Chukwuemeka, and Olukemi. Those are the three hands you have up.
Okay. Elizabeth, let's take Elizabeth. Elizabeth, please go ahead. Elizabeth, please go ahead. Okay, Dr. Kemi, right? Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Dr. Eneobi, my former country director, Dr. Mamedu, Barrister Okoye, and all the speakers. Mine is a concern. I was part of the meeting, was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks? We had that first one that Otive and Husseini was there, and I think Ford Foundation, I can't remember her name. And we talked mainly on values and ethics. Now, as CSOs, if we are engaging, it has to be from the beginning to the end. We can't engage haphazardly. It must be from the beginning to the end. From the bills, there is an amendment that is going on now. And it is so sad that at this stage in Nigeria, we are still very ignorant of the fact that those ethical norms, values that we have thrown away are the ones we need to go back to. Now, they are removing forgery of certificates as, you know, they are terming it as something you cannot petition somebody for. That is the biggest mistake we have been making. We must start from those bills. I'm not sure if we have engaged on this now. They have to return it back. We cannot have thieves and people who will be forging certificates come leaders. If you don't even have a certificate, why come in the first place? And now they are removing that. They are saying you cannot petition somebody who is coming for election if he forges.
Okay.
So we need to go back to the place of values and ethics. I'm glad that Dr. Eno is here. In 2006 or 2007 December, about 9 of us went to Brazil, and we went to learn about participatory budgeting, talking about budget tracking. She had mentioned budget tracking, that now, if we engage at the level of youth, we engage during the process of the election, and then after the election, they must be accountable. We cannot have evidential leadership. We cannot have good governance without engaging in tracking. We got there, and believe me, from the beginning to the end, the citizens engaged. They engaged with the parliament, They engage with the leaders. It's not the people that will the leaders or those that want to go for election that will say, how we do this, how we do that.
Okay.
From the ward level, you engage with your people and know what they want. And that is what you will come and promise. And you must be held accountable.
All right, that's Kemi speaking. Kemi Akimusire. Our position is on going back to our ethical norms and values as a country, that we must engage from the grassroots and engage everybody effectively. I want to recognize Dr. Chukwuemeka Okorafor.
Please, I'm back. Can I
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I will, Elizabeth, I will give you the floor after Chukwu. Elizabeth, I will give you the floor after Chukwuemeka, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you, all the speakers, distinguished participants in this workshop. Sir, I just have a worry, a concern, and I'm expressing this now because I've had an opportunity to be in a lot of functions, in rallies, in demonstrations that are majorly spearheaded by civil society. But I keep missing, maybe I'm not looking well and I really need help at this point. I keep missing a crucial component of civil society. I don't see them, I don't hear their voice. And I also guess that even in this meeting, they are not here. And that's religious bodies. Where are they? Because they form a crucial part of civil society. If you remember what they did in 2015 thereabouts, that led to a change of government. If you look at the influence of religion, rightly or wrongly, upon our populace, where is the religious sector, the religious industry, whatever I want to call them? And by all means, this is not an indictment of the organizers of this meeting, because Nigeria belongs to all of us. So everybody should be concerned. Nobody has to wait for anybody to organize for you. We all are involved. Where are the religious bodies? Thank you, sir.
Very much. I'm very sure Dr. Andrew will respond to that. I think we are working very closely with religious body to make this process stronger. Dr. Andrew will find time to also speak to that, respond to that. So Elizabeth Dilibe, please quickly, in 2 minutes, make it brief.
It's fine. Good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate all the presenters. They presented wonderful things. But let me ask question first, then I say 1 or 2 things and stop as you give me 2 minutes. I have strong concern. Yeah, we are civil society organization, but yet I don't know how many organizations are doing strong sensitization in the communities concerning the forthcoming election. Why did I say so? What I saw around my area, which I know it's happening in other communities, some group of people are going around collecting people's voters card, copying some number from it and giving them token. Then what is it for? I think Nigeria have a policy or law that is protecting this type of thing, but it still happens. Then where are we going to channel this report that it will be secrecy? Because if you come out, your life may be in danger. We call it all insecurity in Nigeria. Anyone who is dead is dead. You are not coming back because maybe you expose something in election, they hurt you. No one is there to stand for you and your family. That's the reality that we need to face. So again, all these community people, let me say market women and boys, men, how will they know the implication of this type of thing? When they copy something number from your voter's card, don't you think that this is the number that they use to formulate their own votes? It's bad. And no one is talking to them about this. No one is letting them to know. Even if we are doing, it's still minimal. We need to do more. We need to reach out to local areas, the grassroots. That's why the religious leaders are very, very important. Because using them to go against this type of thing will be good. And if there is any way to be checkmating, any secret administration room that one can say, go to social place, this is what they are doing. There will be people who will go there and find things themselves and know how to calculate, so that even the reporters themselves will be safe. So I think
you, Elizabeth. Yeah, we got the point. Insecurity and also the need for us to also mobilize more people to vote at the grassroots. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I'll also give the floor now to
the last one, please. Please, there is also the need for advocacy for respect of office. Because when one person is above every other person, I think there will be no justice. So let there be respect for office. Every mission or every ministry will have their own manpower, their own power to work according to the law.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah. Chibuzo Orame. Chibuzo Orame, you have the floor. In a few minutes, 2 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. My special thanks to all the distinguished panelists. There is this thing that I've been thinking, because I've been in TSO for a decade now, and I've been participating fully when it comes to politicking. But I find out that the people that are into those we call our representatives and the governors and less of them, these people are really to be honest, they don't seem to know what governance is all about. And I've been thinking, can it be possible for CSOs to sponsor candidates? Even on state level or on a federal level, CSO come together to sponsor candidates that knows what governance is all about. People that can go there and make impact in the life of the people. I've just been thinking, I don't know if it is something that is doable or not, but I believe that can happen. It makes a lot of change.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The conversation, let's just make it very brief. What we want to take out of this space is that some of the actions that civil society can actually take to strengthen our democracy, also in line with the current Electoral Act. Those are the actions that we want to take away from this conversation. So let's direct our questions and our thoughts around this area. So I'm going to give the floor to Ifeoma Charles Mowuba. Ifeoma Charles Mowuba.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues. My question is directed to Andrew and the other co-conveners of the Situation Room. Back several years ago, ActionAid were considering using Ushahidi as a shadow collation of results. And I'm just wondering, given this shoddy amendment that was done, why is civil society in Nigeria not taking this forward as a platform to actually show that these results can be collated? We don't really need to wait for INEC. Yes, they will not accept it, but it will actually provide real-time evidence that this is doable and actually show who won, as opposed to what they're going to cook up later. So, Andrew, where did that conversation go? And why is the Situation Room not considering that? The Situation Room and civil society in Nigeria can train the number of civil society to correspond with the polling units in Nigeria and have one person or two people at each polling unit using this platform to collect the results. And we could have a result. Yes, the Supreme Court might not accept it, but it provides evidence that this is doable, 1, 2, and actually tells exactly what happened in each polling unit as against what we're going to see doctored later. So that's food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is need for us to also recognize people or audience who have also dropped questions in the chat box. Reading from here, there's one to Comrade Oda. He hasn't spoken yet. I don't know where that question will go to him. Somebody is saying, good afternoon all. The current Nigerian political party is a sham and sadly a joke. The political parties lack any ideologies. Politicians simply swing from one party to another for as long as it favors them. This is sad. I feel there should be a law to make this illegal and punishable. I think Barrister Festus Okoye addressed that issue. There's this question to Barrister Festus Okoye. Okay, this is a comment. Many thanks to Barrister Festus Okoye, very insightful. Honorable, Right Honorable, sorry, I need to get that now. Said, good afternoon all. My name is Right Honorable Farouk Dange Ahmed, National Speaker, Northern Youth Assembly of Nigeria. Oh, he's just introducing himself to us. Thank you very much, Honorable, for joining this this meeting. Let's go back and quickly ask Yaya Husseini. Then after Yaya Husseini, Austin Ogunleye to just take their questions. Then we'll go back to our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my friend. I want to commend the speakers that have given us some issues so far. My only concern now, particularly, is issue of this political defection across the country. I think there's a need for the civil society to also organize a form of sensitization in such a way that they can even incorporate into a law that defecting should be something that you need to get, even take look referendum at your community level before you can move to another party. Because the abuse, because of people who are pulverized, nobody can even say a thing that you are leaving that the vote will give you under this party and you are abandoning it and going and nobody questioning you and you are happy you are doing it. So I think there should be a clause to me if for them to have a referendum to ask, yes, the people have agreed that you can move to another party before this kind of defection, because the rate we are going is abuse of power. And to me, I think the civil society has a lot of responsibility to do that as well. That's the little I think I can contribute for now. And once again, thank you for all the good things you are doing in the civil society.
All right, thank you, Yahaya Husseini. Austin Ogunleye.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to also thank the CCRO for this platform. My own is quickly on the voter education and voter apathy. I think our attention at this time should be focused on how we mobilize people to participate in the election. If you notice now, majority of Nigerians in the market, artisans, they are using smartphone. And what do they use it for? They will use it to watch reels on Facebook and TikTok. That is what they do so that they catch the fun from it. I think what we need to do now is to develop short videos about the Electoral Act and how they can participate and how their participation will probably giving them the dividend of democracy or solve that problem that they are facing. I think it is better at this time to put our energy on that. The time of organizing campaign in the market in this has gone. Many people does not pay attention to that. Many people on their phone watch any small time people have now, they go to reels and watch reels. And I think the civil society organization could put attention to that, to develop videos that can teach people or give people the information they need to participate in the electoral process. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's quickly go back to our speakers. Barrister Festus Okoye, I think there are two issues around the defection from one party to another. During your presentation, you actually spoke to that section, I think section 77. Maybe it wasn't clear enough. You might want to speak to it again so that people can understand the section 77 as it concerns defection from one party to another. Then I will go to Andrew. Andrew, issues around why are we not engaging the religious leader to also participate in this kind of process? Maybe Andrew will do justice to that. Festus Okoye, please. Barrister Festus Okoye.
Yes, thank you so much. I just address 3 issues and then I'll keep quiet. The first issue is that civil society groups and organizations and civil society leaders must remain non-partisan and non-political. The moment you begin to wear the political garb, the moment you begin to realize that your brother or your sister or somebody from your ethnic group or religious group is a presidential candidate and must be supported, you have lost it. So civil society leaders must remain non-partisan and must speak from a position of strength, speak from a position of non-partisanship, and must on no account whatsoever be seen to join a political party, support a political party, or in any way have any dealings with any political party. If we do that, it downgrades the work we do and makes us to be partisan. The second issue is that when a bill is before the National Assembly, when a bill is going for public hearing, if there is any particular clause you disagree with, don't go and be writing epistle to the Galatians or be writing a long history. Draft your own position on what you believe should be that particular provision. So if the provision says, oh, there will be no real-time electronic transmission of results, and you want electronic transmission of results, draft your own bill, draft that particular provision the way you want it to be, so that at the end of the day, you will be doing your advocacy around that particular bill. The third issue I want to address is relating to the whole issue of the National Assembly having removed qualification as a ground for challenging an election petition under Section 138 of the Electoral Act. Now, Section 134 of the Electoral Act 2022 makes it mandatory that for you, that qualification is one of the grounds for challenging an election petition. But Section 138 of the law has removed it. Now, the challenge here is that if you go to Section 29 of the Electoral Act, it is also one of the grounds for challenging a candidate's nomination, or no, an aspirant's nomination after the list has been forwarded to the Electoral Management Body and the list has been published. But the problem here is that it is only an aspirant who participated in the primaries that can challenge the qualification of the said individual. So if I'm not qualified, if I have a fake result, if I have forged a result, and I have a deal with one of the aspirants that contested, the implication is that I'm going to get to the National Assembly or wherever with a fake result. So it is a huge problem and it's a huge challenge. Now, the third issue is on the issue of defection and the issue of lack of ideology among the political parties. If you look at Section 221 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and also Section 222 and 223, you will see where the problem is. Under Section 223 of the Constitution, all the existing political parties in Nigeria have the same ideology, one ideology, because the Constitution and the rules of the political parties must contain everything that is in Section 223 of the Constitution, and also contain everything that is in Section 224 of the Constitution. So if we must have ideologically based political parties, we must insist that the National Assembly, if there's a National Assembly, must delete Section 223 from the Constitution and also delete Section 222 and 223 from the Constitution, so that we can have ideologically based political parties that can bid for power. It's unfortunate that under the Constitution, you do not have any constitutional restriction preventing a governor from defecting to a different political party. It is not easy to carry the votes given to a political party from a state and transfer it into another political party without going back to the people who gave the mandate. And I think that we must insist that that cannot be the case. And we must begin to campaign for an amendment to the Constitution to make it impossible for anybody who was elected on the platform of a party to move to another party without going back to the voters to seek a fresh mandate. So that's my position on this issue.
Thank you very much. Dr. Andrew, you've been called out already. I thought towards the end of the meeting is when you will speak, but somebody has raised question concerning what you did in the past. I think Ushahidi or so. I will touch on it actually. You want to speak to that now? And also engaging FBOs, faith-based organization. Dr. Andrew, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, comrades. Thank you to every one of us for yielding this call. And I think this is the way to go, like we're doing. I don't know how to go about this. Okay, I'll respond to the question, and maybe I'll probably take my own session too. So I'll start with the question of the faith-based organization. I'm very correct, Doctor. You're very correct. We cannot do this alone. We need to mobilize the community leaders, the religious leaders. There was a town hall that happened on 2 Sundays ago where we had about 5 TV stations and 3 radio stations tuning live for 3 hours. And I was one of the panelists in that town hall meeting. After the meeting, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili specifically met me and said the idea of civil society trying to isolate ourselves from the political party in the engagement of same issue, when we have same issue, same ideology on just a particular issue, not being partisan though, so we have to separate it. That is what the leaders want. Yes, if you engage with the political parties on a similar issue, they could just wave you with one brush and say, oh, you are being partisan, or these are all politicians, so don't mind them. They're just aggrieved politicians because they didn't win election. So a good example was about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, we were in the National Assembly for a couple of days, and we tried as much as possible to separate ourselves from the various political groups that were there, the various movements, obedient and all of that. So we tried to separate ourselves, even though we're saying the same issue, for 2 reasons. One, we had responsibility for the groups that we had mobilized, so we know them. We had responsibility. We could have control and be able to manage that crowd. That's one. Then two, because of what, like I said, what government would probably say. So we just try to avoid that. But she said something that we probably need to think about as civil society. She said, these guys, when they are doing their thing, they don't do those divide. And said some years ago, some political leaders went with the citizens to Ojota and all of that, and they had the whole citizens mobilization and action. And of course, we got our way then as citizens. But so why now try to separate citizens? If it's an ideology, we know that we are not partisan and we are not political. We just stand on an issue. I don't have the answer. I'm not saying that's the way to go, but it's something that we need to really, really consider. How do we galvanize and bring in people? But specifically with regards to religious and traditional ruler, we are doing specific things. In the last 2 weeks, I have gone around with comrades, meeting with top religious leaders, I must assure you. So I'll give you 3 names or 3 positions. One, I met with the primates of the Anglican Communion, myself and a couple of other comrades. We met with the primates of the Anglican Communion, and they committed, not just committing to join this movement, join this force, they committed for us to work with them and build the social arm of the Anglican Church. And thirdly, for them to also link up, they have a group that he's part of all the big churches, those that have 10 million and above members in the country. So he committed to take this conversation to those meetings. So where you have them, Oyedepo and all of those, Adeboye, the Catholics, all of them are in that group. So that they want to be speaking from that perspective, not as just Anglican and all of that. The second one, we went to the Pentecostal group in the FCT, and we met with the chair of the FCT. And the same thing, he has already linked us with all the local government social arm, and we're having engagements with them already. So we're doing those mobilizations. So yes, this is just what's happening in the surface, but at the bottom, we're doing it. So the same thing for the Muslim group. So we have also met with the Muslim leader, and that is one of the reasons, if you notice, we were saying we're going to have 1 or 2 protests, but they said because of fasting, let us step down on that. And we had to listen to them, and we are stepping down. But even though we have stepped down, we are still doing lots of underground engagement, meetings with all of these groups, because we know this is about citizens' issue. It's not a religious. I'm not unaware that in this forum you probably will have DSS. So it's not a secret. We're not trying to hide it. So we're mobilizing towards good governance. And if we're mobilizing towards good governance, how do we bring the right people? How do we bring we have been working round the clock. Charles, please, you have to find a way of unmuting John Oda. I say he's trying to unmute himself, he cannot. So how do we even get labor? We have been trying round the clock to get labor to be on board. But Labour says, oh, they have to be the lead, and we're happy for Labour to lead it. But this issue is beyond just one organization, it's beyond Situation Room, it's beyond Action Aid or Motion. So everyone, religious group, traditional rulers, all of us have to be on board. So with traditional institutions, we're also pursuing them. So you are very correct. We agree with you. We're going to pursue all those. We're going to have all those conversations. Should we even align with some political parties? And how do we see it? And how do we make sure? It's not about we're not interested on which political party wins at the end of the day. It's about good governance. It's about ensuring that we have the right people in power, and the policy, the law we have, it's working for us. I think that's, and then on the second issue that Dr. Ife talked about, the issue of shadow collation. Just to say that, Dr. Ife, I'm sure you know that Yaga has a similar voters something PV tabulation of results. Yeah, Yaga has that result and normally brings an alternative, and it's 98-99% accurate. So that exists. And beyond that, you know that IREV is a replica of that. And that's why we are saying that in the Electoral Act, IREV should be clear, should be clearly stated, and should be clear for people to view it and see the result. If you finish and collate your and finish your result, the form EC80, you snap it with your beavers, it should immediately be transmitted to IREV. The issue of failure of technology is just being trying to be clever by half. I would wrap up with two things. Maybe I'm taking my session. I'm not just answering question, Newton. I'll wrap up with two things. One is I would read the Electoral Act, which we have said we reject, and I'll tell you why we are rejecting it, and then what we are proposing, like Festus Okoye said. So it's not just enough to reject it. What we are proposing, is it possible? So where we are now, should we just accept it and just run this election the way it is and just go? The answer is still no. Is it possible to get an amendment between now and the next election? There are a lot of discrepancies in the Electoral Act, lot of discrepancy. I'll give you one big one. In one end, they're saying that no political party or member of political party can go to court, and if you go to court, you'll be charged up to 10 million. And on the other hand, in the same act, they are saying that on the grounds of primary, you can go to court. So but they are saying you cannot go to court. On the same act again, you are saying they can go to court. So those kind of lots of discrepancies that we identified. We have a group called the IJAP, Independent Judicial Accountability Panel, that is made up of retired justices from the appeal courts, and we will have a Supreme Court person joining us now, and political scientists, professors, and all of that. So we did last weekend, we did a review of the document, a comprehensive review, and we brought out all the lapses and why that document needs to be amended. And we then came up with a suggestion to the clause 63, famous 63, that has to do with the transmission. So let me, first of all, read what we have with respect to the old one of 63. Maybe that would then help us know. Then I will now read the new one. So it says the presiding officer shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to IREV portal, and such transmission shall be done after the prescribed form EC8 has been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and or countersigned by the candidates or polling agents where available at the polling units, provided that if the electronic transmission of the result fails as a result of communication failure, and it becomes impossible to transmit the results contained in Form EC80, signed and stamped by the presiding officer and countersigned by the candidate or polling agent where available at the polling units. The Form EC8A shall at all times remain the primary source of collation and declaration of the result. The major contention we had with this, even though we had problem with the Form EC8, it says shall at all times. What does this at all times mean? Will it be as at all time when the technology fails, or at every time? That means that even if you have mutilated from EC8A and what has been transmitted from the polling unit is different from the mutilated one that comes at the end of the day, is it the mutilated one that has been changed from 110 to 10,010 that will now be accepted? So what does that at all time mean? That was a big issue for us. So having said that, we then said, can we have a proposal for what we'll be amending? Let me read what we propose. So let me read it. So there are a number of ambiguity. The provision of CTC, so at all times, could mean after the failure of the electronic transmission, or on the other hand, at all times could mean whether there was failure or electronic transmission or not. Or thirdly, it could also mean that, so it puts doubt on whether there shall be sole reliance on Form EC80 when there was no electronic transmission by reason of communication failure. Now, this is what we propose. The election official officials designated by commission shall electronically transmit all election results immediately after prescribed result forms have been signed and stamped by the election officials and countersigned by the candidates or polling agents where available at the polling units and collation centers. Now, this proposal we're doing takes care of not just the result from the polling units, because we something that these have not captured, the act has not captured. It does not capture what happens beyond just the initial collation point. There are about 3 or 4 collation points, depends on where. So the first one is, yes, you do it at the polling station, you snap it there and you transmit. The first one is the ward level or the RC level. So once you go to the ward level, the next level is the local government level. The next level is the state, depends on, then of course there's national. So all of those are collation points. But this act only talks about the first level, which is from the voting point to the first collation center. But this amendment is looking, or this proposal is looking at all of the level and making sure that no discrepancy is recorded. Some people, and some depends on, like if you're a governor will not be interested in what happens will not be interested in altering figures so much at the polling station. He or she may be more interested in what happens at the result that comes from the ward level or the result that comes from the local government level. That will be what will be giving them the upper hand for them to win the election at the end of the day. So our eyes have got to be across all the board. So the transmitted results shall be used to verify and confirm any other result before it is collated. There are ambiguities and inconsistencies in the use of the word transmission. So this is our proposal, and clearly we are hoping that we're going to push this in this forum. I don't know where we'll put it in this forum. Motion has got it in the platform. The signed amendment, the signed acts, it's available. We're going to also put it in Motion's platform. You could go there and get and see the signed act. But we are asking that, can we still amend this act as it is right now? Can we popularize this amendment that we are pushing? And then once fasting is over, we take a bit of time, we mobilize ourselves, get the churches, get the mosque, get the traditional ruler and traditional institutions. If we say there's a call to action, how many of us will be able to come out? That is what they always use against us. How do we sponsor mute this person? Charles, can you mute this person, please?
Go ahead, it's muted.
How do we sponsor 5 to 10 people? And that's what we're saying. If little communities, little CSOs like us, we say, oh, there's a movement, and it's not just going to be in Abuja. We're looking at it nationwide. If there's action, to be frank with us, the little action we did, we got feedback from the Villa, from the National Assembly. Those little actions we did contributed to this little effort, the little results we even saw. If we did nothing, it would have been worse than this. They say, oh, but you didn't get what you wanted at the end of the day. What they were planning was worse than this, but they were able to respond. And they forced the hand of the president to sign it within 24 hours because it was going to gain momentum if he had not signed it. So he had to quickly sign it within 24 hours. It's a clarion call for all of us. When there's a call for action, where are you? Where would you be? How many persons would you mobilize? Would you sponsor to come for those actions? And we have always said that we'll do everything according to the law, not outside the law, not the one that they will train tear gas at us and all that. Then the conversation around who will join who? Do we join the political parties? And how do we separate being partisan and being civil society? But of course, getting the result we want at the end of the day. Motion is there for us to join. If you want to join Motion, Motion is for the transformation of Nigeria that has all of coalition and coalition of citizens and citizens group for us to take such action forward. Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer more questions later on.
Yeah, Dr. Andrew Mabedu, thank you very much for that presentation. You've responded to some of the questions. I'm very sure your presentation will also generate more questions, and maybe you just take those questions as they come. I learned that Comrade John Oda is in the call now, so we'd like to take his session as quickly as possible. Comrade John, please. Thank you. Comrade John Oda.
He's not on this call.
Oh.
He's no longer here. He was here.
I saw him some minutes ago. Oh, okay. I will come back to Barrister Festus Okoye. The reason why we are gathered here today is also because you are a lawyer. It's also
sorry, Newton.
Yeah.
Newton, if I may say something, somebody asked me a question on the
sorry.
chat box. So I just want to answer because I need to leave for another meeting soon.
Okay, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to, Chibuzo pointed out the issue of politicians don't seem to know what they're doing. Can we sponsor CSO candidates? You know, everybody in the CSO is a citizen. You have the right to vote and be voted for. And if you want to go for election, you are indeed, you know, you can go. But the problem you have is, you know how monetized politics is. Who has the money to support who is a big issue. Electoral Act 2026 has further monetized politics in a way that is going to be like the highest bidder. One key thing that we're not doing very well is our communication with EFCC. The civil society is not engaging with the EFCC. I know that when we, from the civil society situation room, when we get to different like off-cycle elections and also when we are mobilizing for national election, we are not calling on, you know, the security. We call on the security, but we need to now pay attention to vote buying, which is one of the biggest issues that we have. But we have not opened our own channel to EFCC. So I'm asking that the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, along with every other, we need to pay attention, pay advocacy visits, and get to know where EFCC, you know, personnel are, have their hotlines. So because even in the FCT election, there were so many vote buying. We had about 340 something cases, you know, polling areas that we noticed vote buying. But if we now have a hotline for every observer that we have deployed and everybody can reach, when you see, you call, they are the ones that will be able to go to get to the polling unit and be able to intervene. I come to, I think the computation, Andrew has answered that for Sister Ifeoma. You know, the computation, it's a very essential thing. Yaga is doing that. Yaga is a member of the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room as well. And they did a good jobs in all the off-cycle elections. But you can imagine what happened during the presidential, you know, the National Assembly election was uploaded and the presidential was not uploaded. It was because of the corrupt and fraudulent attitude from INEC and the politicians that should change Nigeria. And that takes me to Hussaini Aliu's question. You know, he said the voter apathy is caused because people don't believe their vote can count. And that is a question of trust, the issue of trust deficit. And that goes with, I think another colleague asked about elections, voters' cards, you know, issue of voters' cards that are thrown away and so on. The issue of trust system. But we can't give up. So we need to all converge and demand accountability by letting us, you go mobilize people within your own environment. This one now is every organization should answer their father's name. How many people are you mobilizing? Like was asked by Elizabeth earlier, how many people are you mobilizing to get involved in the political system? Political education, who is doing it? Political parties are not doing political education. They should be doing it. INEC should be doing it. Civil society organizations should be doing it. But whatever we can do, we can only augment what the government is doing. So we need to be able to, but patriotism, zeal, the quality of our citizen, because whether in the police force or you are in INEC or wherever you are, as a citizen, can you stand upright for Nigeria? The issue of corruption is real. We need to reclaim Nigeria. The part of political party, that's the last thing I want to talk about. The part of political party or the opposition we are talking about. 2012, occupying Nigeria, Tinubu was there live with all the NADECO people. So opposition is opposition. We don't need to run from political parties. The problem is many political parties have not turned themselves to opposition. Normally, everybody is in the opposition and they marshal out, they come out together. We expected them to come out more, but they're not coming out. So we are not ones to run away from political parties. Everybody that needs to be, we understand the problem in terms of labor. Labor is so weak now that we don't even know what to say, but maybe John Oda's paper will deal with that. Thank you so much, and I'm glad to be here. Andrew, thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Well
Thank you very much, Comrade.
Thank you. Bye for now.
NLB. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Barrister Festus Okoye, I'm coming back to you because we couldn't reach out to John Oda, or John Oda couldn't connect to this call. So, and Peter also was supposed to take a session. He couldn't connect as well. I'm coming back to you to look at legally. We are looking at, you spoke about Section 10, Section 77, and Section 60. Are these the only sections that we should look at for in the new Electoral Act as civil society organizations?
Give me the permission to talk just a little bit about some of the issues our colleague Andrew raised around Section 60 of the Electoral Act. Now,
please go ahead.
Yes, I think he made very valid points over the issue of Section 6. Just a second. Over the issue of Section 60 of the Electoral Act. But I think that as a lawyer and somebody who has done numerous election petitions, and now as somebody who also served as a national commissioner with the Independent National Electoral Commission, I think that our advocacy should slightly move away from Section 60 subsection 3 to Section 60 subsection 5, and I will explain. Now, Section 60 subsection 3 of the signed Electoral Act says the presiding officer shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to IREF portal. Now, in the case of Peter Obi and the case of Atiku and in the case of Oyetola in Ondo State, the Supreme Court has made it clear that the IREF portal is not a collation portal, and the results that go into the IREF portal are not used for purposes of collation of results. That those results that go into the IREF portal are just for public viewing, to give the Nigerian people a sense of what goes on in the polling units, to give political parties, civil society groups, and organizations a sense of accountability. But in truth and in fact, they do not go to any of the collation systems. So, in the circumstance, even if our advocacy under Section 60 subsection 3 succeeds, it does not add to transparency in the collation process, because the transparency in the collation system is what the issue is all about. Moving the votes from the polling unit to the 8,809 registration areas, or the first level of collation. That is where the problem is. My own suggestion, having read the law, is that we should move to Section 60 subsection 5. Section 60 subsection 5 of the Electoral Act says the presiding officer shall transmit the results, including the total number of accredited voters, to the next level of collation. This is where we should go to. Now, if you look at Section 155 of the Electoral Act, Section 155 of the Electoral Act defines the word transmit. If you give me just a few seconds, it defines the word transmit, and it says transmit includes to move I just want to quote the section exactly so that we can see that our advocacy should move away from Section 60 subsection 3 to Section 60 subsection 5. It says authority, just a minute. It says transmit means to send, transfer, or communicate from one person or place to another, manually or electronically. So what that means is that the electoral management body can manually transmit or transfer from EC8A, which is the primary election result, and also transmit the same from EC8A to the first level of collation. So the advocacy under Section 60, subsection 5 is really the way to go. The one under Section 60, subsection 3 is just for public viewing and public entertainment as far as I'm concerned. The second issue, one of our colleagues raised the issue of the National Assembly having made the issue of going to court on matters relating to the internal dynamics of political parties an offense with a very heavy sanction. Now, you need to separate two issues here. The first issue is that any political party reserves the right to go to court under Section 285, subsection 14 of the Constitution, even if the matter relates to the internal political affairs of a political party. And the section says that talks about a political party challenging the actions, decisions, or activities of the Independent National Electoral Commission, disqualifying its candidate from participating in an election, or a complaint that the provisions of the Electoral Act or any other applicable law has not been complied with by INEC in respect of the nomination of candidates or political parties for an election, timetable for an election, registration of voters, and other activities of the Commission in respect of preparation for election. These are the ones covered by the Constitution. The one he's talking about, I can't remember who raised it. It relates to what the Supreme Court has said relates to the internal affairs of political parties. I do not agree that somebody who goes to challenge a particular action on grounds that is an internal party will be asked to pay 10 million as penalty. I don't agree with that, because that is not the way the law develops. That's not the way the law is. And so I don't agree with that. Having said that, there are some other provisions of the Electoral Act for me that is challenging. The first one is Section 3, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act. Section 3, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act 2022 makes it feasible for the government to release all the funds needed by the electoral management body for the conduct of elections 12 months or 360 days before an election. The Electoral Act 2026 has reduced it to 6 months. What that means is that the government can starve the electoral management body of money for voters registration, money to monitor the activities of political parties, and so on and so forth. So for me, election is not about election day activities or post-election activities. It also encompasses all the things happening before elections. The second issue I need to raise relates to Section 84 of the Electoral Act. If you recall, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Buhari, refused to sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022 because the National Assembly removed indirect primaries as one of the ways through which a political party can nominate his candidates. And he said it was undemocratic, that it was against internationally accepted standards, and that reducing our elections to direct primaries and consensus was problematic, and that direct primaries has security implications, has cost implications, and that the country was not ready for that. So he refused to sign it until they returned it, they returned it to the law. My position is that we do not need direct primaries, consensus, or indirect primaries in the electoral legal framework. Let every political party grow. Let every political party go and make a determination of how it wants to conduct its primaries. If it does not want to conduct primaries, if it wants to select candidates in somebody's bedroom, it is his own problem. What is important is for the political party to satisfy the provisions of the law in terms of forwarding to the electoral management body the list and particulars of these candidates running for election. Unless we do this, political parties in Nigeria will not grow. We will continue to feed them, and they will not make any impact in the electoral process. So these are some of the challenges with the new the new Electoral Act, and I think we should be looking at them.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Festus Okoye. Agape Oyema, I saw that you're on the call. I don't know if you want to add to this conversation from Situation Room perspective, because we are co-hosting. There are things that people want to hear about Situation Room, what Situation Room is actually doing, and the position that Situation Room hold on this matter. Agape, please. Hello, Agape Onyema.
Yeah, I mean, this is close from the insurance. She just stepped out.
Okay, she stepped out. Okay, that's
comes back on the call.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. So we're going to open the floor again for the second round of questions and comments. Then after that, we'll be thinking of wrapping up this meeting. So if you just have a question in 1 minute or so, just try and make it succinct as possible so that we take your question. Thank you very much.
Mojid has his hands up.
Okay. Mojid Alabi, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much, ActionAid, for this opportunity. Am I audible, please? Can you hear
very
me?
Well, Mojid, we can hear
okay,
very well,
very
Mojid.
Much. Yeah, I'm very impressed with the effort of ActionAid and other partners in promoting civic responsibility in mobilizing for actions. But I am surprised that maybe our efforts may have to be tailored towards family more at this time. If you look at the society, whether we go through the, I saw the country director speaking about mobilizing the churches, mobilizing the mosque. The society has really gone terribly down to the extent that our value system has significantly changed downward. This is a system where you now have more people showing interest in things that ordinarily you shouldn't even find it attracting any interest. This is a society where people like Jarvis, where you have a lot of skit makers making waves better than, I know we have about 102 persons here. You can imagine a TikToker coming here to have a live show. You have more, and it is because society, the family system has been completely ruined. Our parents have abandoned responsibility by now releasing their kids to minders until we reclaim that societal system. I was talking to a commissioner of education today, and he was telling me of what students were doing in school by 6 p.m. doing some form of initiation in Ibadan. And he was surprised that parents will be home. They don't even have time to ask after their children around 6 p.m. whether they are back home or not. So you see a lot of Yahoo in schools. I went to institutions and I found out that there's something they call money bags. There's something they call 420. These are things that ordinarily we cannot be discussing here, but until we reclaim the value system from the homes, churches, mosques, is it not people who have interest in mosques that are going to listen to sermon? Is it not people who go to churches that are going to listen to sermon? We must reclaim the family system. What should be prioritized as things to shape the society are not prioritized. And that is why we feel that it is important for all of us to form a common front to address this particular challenge. A whole lot of families have disintegrated because there is so much fracture in our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mojid Alabi. I think you are the second person who is emphasizing the issues of family values. I think that there was somebody from the audience who actually mentioned that earlier, that we need to go back to our values. Thank you very much for bringing that up again. Do we still have another question? Okay, Olukemi Akimishure, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much.
Mine is yes, beautiful. We engage with traditional leaders, we engage with religious leaders. I think if we want to really, strengthen the issue of values and ethical norms, we need to collaborate with professional bodies. Professional accountants, professional lawyers, professional researchers, all manner of professional bodies. We need to bring them into, the CSO circle and partner and collaborate with them and see how all of these ethical values and norms can be restored. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We need to engage professional bodies, FBOs. Somebody mentioned FBOs, family, then professional bodies. Emeka Uwonkocha, you have the floor. Emeka Uwonkocha, you have the floor.
Yeah, good afternoon. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. Can you hear me clearly, sir? Hello,
well.
Can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank
very well. I can hear you.
Yeah, I can. I want to thank Action Aid for this very, very important meeting. I have listened to different contributions as to how we can, get our electoral system well, because it is obvious that the recruitment process of leadership in this country is mired by a lot of irregularities, and corruption has become a thing of great concern. But are we not surprised that at the polling units, before our very eyes, our security operatives, they seem to be totally detached from this course we are trying to chart to ensure that Nigeria gets it well? All these anomalies, all this corruption, all this manipulation, inducement, vote buying, or what you may call it, they happen before the presence of our security personnel. Our security personnel, they aid and abet electoral fraud. And nothing happens. Nobody is called to order. Nobody is called to book. It is a normal thing that security personnel will be there. They aid it. They fast forward it. They engineer it. If that becomes the standard, I wonder how would we be able to address all these shenanigans? I think the first point of call, our security personnel, they should be true Nigerians, they should be patriotic, they should apply themselves to the rudiments and the ethics of their profession. If we can get it right there, I will tell you, there will be a lot of benefits we will make. But if we cannot get it right within that angle, my sister and my brother, whatever we are saying here is more or less like pouring water on the back of a snake. It cannot hold. So let us go back. Our engagements, our advocacy should be channeled first towards the security personnel. They need orientation, they need conscientization, they need education, and they need tutoring to make it understand that they are the first line of action and they are Nigerians. If they should put the push spanner on the works, definitely all of us will sing. I think that's my personal take. Thank you very much.
I think the network took me out. Thank you very much. I can see the passion. I can see how concerned you are as concerning this this conversation that is ongoing. The security personnel, yes, we need to hold them accountable if we must get it right. We want to also recognize Maureen Bude. Maureen Bude, then Jamila. Please speak. Maureen. Okay, Jamila, you have the floor. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Thanks for this this webinar. Is is something that we really needed now. It's talking about the Nigerian citizen, how to get the electoral acts clear to everyone. I feel everybody now is, let me talk from the aspect of most of the youth now in Kano State, they are brainwashed, they lack focus. So there is need for us to do more awareness and more civic engagement, so that the people will even know what they want. The politicians use money to bribe everybody during election. I observed the last election, and what happened there, they say reports. We reported immediately, but nothing was done about it. So it's coming this 2027, I still believe that same thing that happened last election will still happen this time around, if nothing critically is done to address all the issues. I also made mention of the Electoral Act. All the big drama, big grammars there. It's not what people really understand. They don't understand what is there. All this subsection is just for the lawyers. And I don't think, to be serious, at this 2027 election, I don't think there is anything new that is going to be changed, if not for more engagement to make the people more focused and intentional about what they really want of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamila. That is one of the reasons why we are having this conversation. It's not just for us to say these are the things that we're going to do, but you should also take away from here what you're going to be doing in your own small space, so that collectively, when we put all those actions together, we'll be getting the result that we want to see in Nigeria. But thank you very much for those salient points that you have just provided. Maureen Ude.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am
Afternoon.
Maureen of Adojo River, Optimal Communications. I'm joining from Enugu, and I've listened to everybody's contribution. It's painful that at this time we are still talking about strengthening our democracy after every policy and amendment of law in order to better our democracy. We are still where we are. Like in the year 2023, everybody felt we had to get it right. Everybody worked. The CSOs, everybody were working, believing that we'll get it right in 2023. But at the end of it, it's the same story. It's painful, but I know there's a solution to it. In all our discussions now, we've been saying every effort we're talking about is the citizens, that we're going to continue our advocacy, change the mindset, family, core values, and also we're only referring to these citizens. What happens to government? Government has a serious role to play because of the way they've subjected these citizens. Citizens have lost trust in governance. Citizens have lost trust, even talking about this voting and the election. I had a chat with one NGO that was up and doing in the last 4 years, going to churches, villages, there's no place they did not enter. The woman was crying and was telling me, what face will she use to go and talk to these people, the electorates, to come out and vote? But we will not stop until it is over. The government has a role to play, not just giving us policies, and they must make a commitment, not a verbal one, but an action commitment. That's what I think the CSOs are going to continue to push them to make a commitment. And then when they make that commitment and stick to it, then the citizens, the electorate, will still have trust in governance. It's painful. As I'm talking, I feel pained because they've subjected Nigerians to poverty, that anything they want to do, when they show money to Nigerians, they will accept it because they are hungry. We have a lot to do, but we'll continue this advocacy. I want to thank Action Aid for this webinar, for us to chart a course. But then, let's continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All time skills to Action Aid and Situation Room, who have put this together for us. Elizabeth, is this an old hand or a new one?
It's the new
Elizabeth.
one. Elizabeth.
Okay, please, quick one, because we are trying to wrap up now. Quick.
I want to thank God for this privilege by Action Aid Nigeria. We've said it all, especially the second speaker. when we are talking about change and political engagement for a better society, the leaders that are ruling us, they are still the same people. Nothing changed. And they don't even have the masses in mind. All they are looking onto is give money, give money, give money. So what I'm saying is, if we can continue the sensitization, like what the third speaker said, it's not coming here to speak this big grammar. Myself, if I work in the rural community, if you meet a rural woman to tell you one of the laws, our constitution that abide in election in Nigeria, they can't say anything. So if you can simplify it in a very local English and engage media, then the civil society organization will continue to try our best. I think I work as an observer. With all the effort, nothing works. Even before the election, the election have started in some states. I think I went to Delta State last 3 months. They've started their election. They've started putting up their voters card. So many things is happening underground. After you submit your voters card, you'll be given 5,000, and people are going because of the rate of poverty. So what I'm trying to add to what we have been saying is, the people that are there, they are still the same. Nothing has changed. If we can continue our sensitization, the youth to come out, let us have a new structure. I think things will be better.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Danjuma, I just will give you 1 minute, then Yusuf 1 minute, then we'll go back to Celestine Odo, who's going to be speaking to us in terms of wrapping up the session, speaking from Situation Room. Then Andrew will now close the whole session for today. Danjuma, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah. You see, most times I try to... So sometimes we civil society organizations also have our own. You will see an observer or an NGO, per se, let me use that word, coming to observe election. Him himself is not politically activated. What am I political activity? He doesn't even know the requirements. He's already aligned with the party. The same observer will go to the field and be asking for money. Observers, like what happened in Amak election, in this council election of Abuja. Observers we are seeing going around asking for transportation, money. So what I'm trying to say is that as an observer, most times we should be intentional about what we want. It's not about having NGOs, CSO going around saying monitoring election. No, it's about bringing something to the table. Are you ready for that change without G3? You go around asking for government to fund your trips. You want state government to fund the same government you are fighting that you don't want him to come back because you know, yeah, he doesn't have the masses at heart. But some civil organizations have made themselves to be so destitute, so desperate that they go and make these government agencies to fund their trip. So what do you expect from someone that is funding your trip? You must have to downplay to his truth. So I would suggest that what we do is that going forward, as observers, we should find a way of not dancing to our own truth or doing the right thing and be intentional with what we want. People going through the state covers to go and beg, ask governments to fund their trips. Thank you.
All right, Danjuma, thank you very much. I think that speaks to the values and the norms we talked about earlier. Yusuf, please, 1 minute. Yusuf Bashir.
When you say, I want APC.
Yusuf Bashir, 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you, my honorable. I really appreciate the action here. I want to be one of the stakeholders in the community of persons with disability. And so unfortunately, in the law, the electoral act, I think there is a provision for voting device for persons with disability. But it's unfortunate that the last election, there's magnified glasses for the albinism, there is a tactile ballot paper, but all these things were not made available. In most of this polling unit that we went around, they are just keeping it there. Even the EC40 were not made use to know the number, the population of persons with disability that come out to vote action aid. So please speak for persons with disability to have full inclusive election in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Thank you.
That's well taken, Yusuf. We're also talking about inclusion here, how we can make the whole process more inclusive. It's what some of the drive that we are trying to push forward. Outside speaking to professional bodies, speaking to FBOs, looking at the family values and all that. So inclusion is one of those things that will be taken forward. I said before that, Agyampe, I don't know whether you're back. We just want to hear from Situation Room. Then we'll go back to Andrew to wrap up the session. Okay, Agyampe, please, you have the floor. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar session. This has been an ongoing conversation, and I hear a lot of people saying that there's not a lot of mobilization being done, but there actually is. A lot of civil society groups are working in different areas and in different places trying to mobilize citizens. And ahead of the 2027 elections, we are stepping that up, and I hope that we can carry everyone through and along with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agyampe. So a lot of mobilization is ongoing. You can join from where you are. You can get Situation Room contact and also look for how you can be part of the whole process that is ongoing in your own community. Somebody was talking about translating the Electoral Act. If you understand the Electoral Act and you can translate it in your own language, speak to your people in the language that they understand. That is all we can all do our own bits in pushing this forward. I want to call Andrew now to give his parting words and also wrap up the session for today. Andrew Mamedi, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Newton, for facilitating this session. I want to thank all the speakers. Comrade Festus Okoye, our comrade, and he went to INEC and he's back. We hope that he's back to civil society. I want to thank Comrade NLB that spoke to us, and most especially I want to thank Motion and Situation Room for us pulling this together. Somebody said something that was very striking. If it was a celebrity that was putting this together, you will see 1 million, 2 million people coming. But yes, these people here represent organizations and not just individuals. And we have a struggle and we must continue in the struggle. A couple of things for me. One is we would always have lots of challenges. We even develop climbs, they have these challenges, as some of these challenges as well. We'll have the whole debate about social issues, ethical issues, so different issues will come up. But for us, why are we having this conversation? Primarily, it's what should we be focusing on? What should be our primary and starting point? I'll tell you why we believe that governance should be gotten right. Everything rises and falls in the hand of the leader. And they say that the citizens determine the leader they have. So every leader you have is a fallout of the citizen. But clearly, we have a crop of leaders that are very smart, very intelligent, and they know what they are doing, very calculative. So they are happy for us to be divided. They are happy for us so they have various tactics. So there's a whole issue of authoritarianism that they are playing out. It's a script, and they read it from start to finish. This whole Electoral Act, some amendment they have done, the whole issue of political parties. If you lose in this primary, you cannot go to this one. All of those things are calculated, well calculated. They do everything for their personal gain. And the only thing, the major thing that we have a couple of things, but the only thing that I think is the strongest weapon we have is the power to choose who governs or does not govern us. It's the power to decide whether you should come back or not. And that is why civil society, no matter where you are, whether you are working in tuberculosis, HIV, AIDS, governance, anything you are working in, if you do not have the right government in place, the government, it should not be the other way around. Government should not put themselves in power. The citizens, you can be in government and then you do the wrong thing. At best, you have 4 years. After 4 years, that power to determine whether you should remain there or not goes back to the citizens, and that should not be taken away from the citizen. That should be our primary focus. So yes, the whole thing about police, my brother, trust me, in their authoritarian book, they have what they call state capture. They have captured the police, they've captured the judiciary, they've captured even INEC, they've captured part of civil society, media. So they've captured all of this. So if you are the last one standing, what would then be your battle? What would you be fighting for? I think that's what the conversation we are having. The only thing, they have more resources than you do. The only thing you would have as citizen is a number, is that voice. So how do we mobilize those numbers that we have as citizens? How do we mobilize those voices we have as citizens to be able to ensure that our votes count at the end of the day? This is not a battle that you just win the battle. At the end of the day, do you want to win the war? Do we want to, if we just stop this, okay, let's wait, we have already lost this election, let's give up. No, we are not giving up for this election. We might not get it 100% in this election, but we will keep up this fight. The next election, the next one, until one day we will get it and get our country right, except you say we should give up. I'm currently in a meeting, and I've met some comrades here that have been in this struggle for years and years, and they're not giving up. And some of them are saying that we should keep up this fight, keep up this battle to ensure that our country gets better. So comrades, let us mobilize more people. If we call for the next meeting, we hope that you will be able to bring 1 or 2 other persons to this meeting. We hope that we're able to be mobilized. We hope that we would, when the time beckons for us to come out beyond just on the platforms like this, but maybe other actions like street actions and all that, we're able to mobilize and support people to come out for such actions. Well, thank you very much for taking our time to be in this meeting today. Thank you to everyone that asked questions, contributed. All your contributions are well noted. There will be a note that will be shared on various platforms like the Situation Room platform and the Motion platform. The IJAP press conference we did, the documents also will be shared, so you can go and look at it. Professor Okoye, yes, we talked about that section 65. It was in that document. There were a whole lot of sections we talked about, so we can all engage at the forum. But till we meet again, let us keep up this conversation. Let's not let this fire go down. Let us make sure that we are up and running with it until we have other actions. Hopefully, after the fasting and we've mobilized enough people, we will then take other actions that will help us keep putting our countries on track. We are the true patriots, and we should remain as that. Thank you, Newton, for facilitating this. Thank you, Agyampe, for always pulling us together for such meetings. I thank you.
All right, that will be bye for now. Thank you all. We're going to share the Motion link with you through your email address so that you can join Motion. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, and thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you, speakers. Thank you. That was good. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Andrew. Good to connect with you again. Bye-bye. This is Shadi Taiwan. Bye.
So, Shadi, good afternoon. Good evening.
Oh, you remember me? How you doing?
Very well, very well. Thank you, ma.
You take care. Bye.
Bye, AG, ma'am. Bye, Madam Ene. Thank you, speakers. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Action 8. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Andrew.